Hey, howdy, and welcome all to the Big and Bright Podcast. My name is Nick. This here next to me is James.
Howdy.
Texans, I have one question. Did you vote?
I hope so.
I certainly hope you did. Early voting ended yesterday. Now, Mr. James, did you vote
For the early voting?
for the early voting?
No, I'm going to wait till November 2nd. The
So am
actual
I.
day this
Yeah.
is probably going to be out.
I'm going to wait till November 2nd. I have a very strong philosophy about voting and voting on election day and election day versus election season. A lot of this stuff really came to fruition in the last election. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this early voting stuff's got to stop, you know?
Yeah.
But
we're Texas is so bad, but we allow more early voting than most other blue states. But we're so bad.
We
Yeah.
do. We do allow early voting. It did end yesterday, so unfortunately you are out of luck if you did not get to vote on that. But I would still encourage you to get out there on November 2nd and watch our podcast about those particular issues. There likely isn't going to be a person on the ballot. It's just a matter of propositions for Texas Supreme Court. Or not Texas Supreme Court, sorry. Texas
Or Texas
Constitutional
Constitution,
Amendments, yeah.
I was going to let you slide, but
Yeah,
you know,
well, no, I had to catch
it's
myself
going to
on
be nice
that
for
one.
once.
That wouldn't have been nice. Then you would have let that mistake just hanging out there in the
No,
ether.
I would have definitely commented on our videos like, yeah, Nick's full of crap.
That would have been bad. Anyway, but it's Texas propositions for Texas constitutional amendments. Go back and watch our last podcast if you want some details on that. Please do so before you go vote because we tell you how to vote. So
Not my way. Not
It'll be
his
really
way.
it'll be really beneficial. Now, today a little bit. I wouldn't call it a slow news week. We still got a lot of good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We still got a lot of stuff happening here in the state. A couple of things that we're going to address, but we thought we'd mix it up a little bit and do something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. We actually came up with this idea several almost months ago at this point, and we're really excited to bring it out to you. This is a bit called James Runs Texas.
All rise for President James Metcalf.
Yeehaw! Let's do it. Hold on, Hayden. Give it to me.
Do what? Give him what? No. Hayden, don't do
Yeah,
that.
buddy.
Hayden.
Thank you.
No.
There
No.
it is. Oh, let me just put on these sweet pit vipers.
No. Why are we doing the Macho Man Randy Savage
Oh,
routine?
yeah. Now I feel like a state trooper.
Oh.
This is my crown. Here we
State
go.
troopers wear pit vipers?
Mine do.
I have encountered multiple state troopers in my life. I've never seen one of them wearing pit vipers.
Rule 1. You're a state trooper. You're wearing pit vipers.
So if this is when James runs
That's
Texas.
when I run it. Yep.
So what we're doing here is what we're going to do. We are going to present James with a couple of issues that are currently facing Texans or Texas as a state. And we're going to say, okay, James, you're in charge. You are the official dictator of Texas.
That's right.
What happens next? And some of the things, number 6 will shock you. Right. Actually, I don't think we have number 6. But the point is, some of this you might find shocking or none at all because we all know James at this point. But we're going to go through a couple of issues here, and we're going to ask, James, you run Texas. What are you going to do about this?
Here we go.
Here we go. Okay. Now, I've got these issues set up, and I want to kind of keep it mixed up with James. So I sent him the outline, but I'm gonna throw him out of order. So he's
He's
a
gonna
little,
try.
little less prepared here. Okay. First things first, let's talk about kids getting vaxxed.
Woo! Okay.
So, in case you haven't heard, James, right, the U.S. FDA on Friday announced an emergency use authorization for the Pfizer vaccine for children ages 5 to 11. Just to let you know, with those criteria, there's about 2.9 million children in the state of Texas that meet that criteria and are heretofore eligible for the vaccine. Right? FDA panelists decided at the time that the benefits of the vaccine for children ages 5 to 11, many of whom have suffered isolation, depression, learning loss throughout the course of the pandemic, that these benefits outweigh the risks associated with the Pfizer shot. Right? Those risks being, bad heart rates and,
Dying.
trouble breathings and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. Currently, in Texas, there is no indication that the Republican-led lawmakers in the state are going to require children to get the vaccine or overturn any vaccine mandate prohibitions in the state. Right?
Yep.
But these doses have been allocated currently, or are being allocated currently, to nearly half of Texas counties, and the counties are going to decide how to distribute those, or whether to distribute those, or on what basis to distribute those. There is currently federal discussions about what the parameters on the emergency authorization should be, whether or not it should be given to kids that already have comorbidities or it should be given to all children in Texas. But we do have those doses on the way from the federal government. James runs Texas. Go.
First off, no, you're not getting a vax at all. I just happened to look up something, and it took me very little time to actually prepare for this one because I was like, I already know exactly where to go because all you got to do is go to, let's go to a pediatrics website. Oh, American Academy of Pediatrics. Here we go. 6 million cases reported. Sure. Yeah, because we believe that all those positives are actually positives. Okay, just going off that, 0.00 to 0.03%. That is literally not even 1%. Of all children with COVID-19, the cases resulted in deaths.
So, okay, this is 6 million reported cases for children.
For children.
Okay.
This is the entire United States, not just Texas.
All right.
The entire United States, out of 6 million COVID positive cases, 0.03 to 0.00. Probably more than zero. But 0.03 is the toughest they can get. Actually resulted in death. Let's just look at USA Today. Of the 73 million children in the U.S., fewer than 700 have died from Rona during the entire pandemic. So what are you protecting? You're protecting nothing. They are fine. They're going to have a cold, and then they're going to get over it. That's how it's going to play out. Just like the flu, just like colds, just like anything else child gets, because they're petri dishes. They get sick, that's what they do, and then you move on. So no, you're not getting a vaccine because it's bullcrap and you have no necessary reason for it unless you may be those comorbidities. I'm with you there because of those 700 comorbidities, I've actually seen where it was roughly 20 below of the people who died, of those children that died, did not have comorbidities. The rest of them did. What are they? They could be as simple as a heart problem to actually have a kid that has cancer. Yeah. That's different.
Or maybe a child who's vastly overweight.
Maybe, but they're not going to say that because it'd be body shaming. We can't do that now.
Most of those people are in Houston. I'm just going to go ahead and say
Yeah, basically.
everyone in Houston is fat. Let's go.
Can't disagree.
Anyway, so what about the libertarian side of this, Dictator James? What about giving parents the right to decide what's best for their kids and their families? What if parents want to get the vaccine for their children? Are we going to prohibit them from making that choice?
First off, you got to explain to me how it's a vaccine. You explain to me how it's an actual vaccine, I'm in.
We'll just call it a shot then, right? We'll just call it the Fauci-ouchie, right?
Yeah.
The parents want to get the vaccine, the shot, whatever it is, whether it's a therapeutic, whether it's a sort of preventing you from getting hospitalized or death, right? The parents want to do it. Why not let them?
Tough.
That's it. That's just tough.
I'm the dictator. I have to have an explanation.
You're just not gonna let the parents have that decision about their own children.
Yeah.
Okay.
The mask works. Keep wearing the mask. You're fine.
What risks do you see for giving your children the vaccine? Because here's the deal: it's just if you give them the vaccine, and so what? Who cares, right? What risks are there? What risks are you seeing? What downside is there to this?
Well, you're preventing the child from actually getting natural immunity from the get-go. Natural immunity is the best way to prevent this entire thing from mutating. That's according to the CDC. But you're also forcing this to a child who has no worries of actual dying. Yeah. Statistically, it is so small that it's just like the whole BS when it comes to other things like say her name, say this, and all the BLM says like the reason you can because the list is this big. All right, the list is this freaking big.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing it because the child just needs to go through it like the rest of us do and just move on.
Fun fact, a vaxxed child is actually safer from coronavirus than an unvaxxed child safer from coronavirus
than a vaxxed adult. Yeah. So you're fine.
That's very true. What about children potentially spreading it to their teachers or to school administrators or people that work there?
Yeah, if you're that worried, you should have got a vax a long time ago.
So you say the teachers should get vaxxed. The burden is on the teachers, it's not on the students?
Right. They're the ones who are yelling about it, then go get the vax. If the vaccine works, then you're fine.
Teachers are heroes, James, here in the state of Texas. All teachers are heroes. That is a fact. They're online with firefighters and military special operations and police officers. They're heroes, all of them.
Sure.
Okay.
No, you're not getting a vax. You're fine. Move on. If the child does have comorbidities, then I'm open to that one. But that's it.
All right. So let's keep talking about schools in Texas, specifically about books at the schools in
boy.
Texas. So, for those of you that don't know, this is actually a problem that's more in Virginia right now because of the whole election and the issues that have been happening in Loudoun County about the school boards there. But there is an issue with the literature that is available to children at schools in Texas. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether this is middle school, elementary school, or high school. And
Because they don't say.
They don't say, right? But it might make no difference to our dictator James here. So let's talk about this. According to NPR, right, there is a Texas state lawmaker by the name of Matt Krause, right? He is currently asking schools in an open letter statewide to tell whether they currently hold any books on a list of around 850 titles that he has compiled, explaining that his target materials might make students feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress because of their race or sex. The lawmaker did not explain what the next steps might be, so we don't know why he's asking for this information. But his request mentioned several times recent pushes, like the ones in Loudoun County, to remove books from libraries, any classroom, if they center on issues from transgender identity to critical race theory. A couple of notes on here. This might just be a grandstanding thing, right? So far, no legal action has been moved forward. It's just he's just asked for the titles, and he's given them until November 12th for school officials to respond. Another important thing to note is that Krause is clearly making a push to run for AG.
Yeah.
He's trying to get his foot in that door. So this might just be a political stunt.
No, that's not what politicians do.
But, right, he has asked for these titles, and there is some concern as far as literature that's being put out, especially stuff that might be considered pornographic by today's standards, and certainly based on things like the Ibram X. Kendi's book. We did a review of his. You should certainly watch that episode.
Don't read the book.
And content like that basically tells children that they should be ashamed for being white, right?
Yeah,
So
we
this
should.
literature in our schools, it is in schools. We've seen it in a lot of other situations. I don't necessarily know what the problem looks like in Texas, but Mr. Krause, Representative Krause, seems to be hell-bent on finding that out. So, James runs Texas. Go!
All right. So, just to get more clarity, this guy is a Republican from Fort Worth. He chairs the House General Investigation Committee.
By the way,
why
Fort
he
Worth
can-
is a really blue area.
Yeah, that's why he can put this out here. It sounds to me like a stern written letter, like, oh no, what's going on? Yeah, okay. See, my issue with it from the get-go is how he explains it. Targeting materials that might make students feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any form of psychological distress because of their race or sex. That means nothing.
That is not at all what Matt Krause sounds like.
That's how my version sounds. My version of Texas, that's how he sounds.
Okay.
His letter to school leaders, this is also in another article about it. His letter to school leaders cites the committee's authority to look into any matter the committee considers necessary for the information of the legislator for the welfare and protection of state citizens. Okay, that's vague. That means nothing. Democratic vice chair about the panel says inquiry is a waste of taxpayers' money and educators' time. I don't know how it's wasting educators' time because you literally have admins like just do something. There you go. Oh no, you have something to do today. Oh no. The state rep, Victoria Neve, says it's an attempt to obscure facts and exploit a wedge for issue for political gain. Kind of get what you were saying.
Yeah.
And she then is quoted saying, Republicans are whitewashing our history in an era when communities of color fueled explosive population growth in our diverse state.
This representative sounds exactly like Matt Krause, apparently.
Yeah.
They all sound the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all politicians. You sound the exact same.
Yep.
Okay. If you're going to say that, that tells me so you know this is existing then. You know it's out there. Mm-hmm. If you're saying they're trying to whitewash it and we shouldn't be looking into that because we're whitewashing it, well, hold on. That means you're kind of giving the premise then. So they are there.
You're not hiding the ball anymore.
Yeah. You're then admitting in some form it's like, yeah, they're actually in the schools and we're fine with it. Oh, so it actually isn't a waste of time. Or is it a waste of time? Doesn't matter. My issue is how she said it. It's kind of BS because you're, again, giving the premise. But we should allow books of history because it's necessary. We should allow it because, we maybe should be whitewashed. Maybe we should actually see some kind of nuance. However, pornographic things are not nuance. Saying blatantly, if you're a white man, you should feel you should feel bad because you're the ones, your people own slavery. Well, guess what? So did Africans. Actually, the first case in America to actually be legally allowed to own a slave was a black man. So it's really not only a white issue. It's been going on for generations, been going on thousands of years. And in fact, America was like less than 200 years old, and we got rid of slavery. England gets a tout that we were actually the woke ones because they got rid of it 20 years before we did and didn't have to have a civil war to get rid of it. However, how long was England in effect and how long was America? We got it done. We got it out of our system pretty quickly compared to when we started America and when we actually got rid of slavery.
We fought a war to do it.
Yeah, we literally had to fight a war to do it, and the North thankfully won.
So James runs Texas. What happens to Mr. Krause here?
You're grandstanding. Shut up. Stop doing this. Let the school districts do it bit by bit by bit. And I know it's a slow, methodical way, and people don't like that because they want to have a huge motion all at once. You're not going to get that. Those never work. They always go badly because you're always going to have secondary consequences that you don't realize because you have to do them until you find out the consequences. So you let the people who actually attend this school deal with it. I don't give a crap what Austin is saying from all the way in Dallas, all right? If you want to come to Dallas, then let your representative actually say something because they're from that area. That way I can vote them out. No, you don't. This is crap. I agree with the person's side, yes, but this is crap because you're leaving it so vague that you can make anything. So if one book just happens to miss the cut that they didn't report, what else you hide? Now you get to have a freelance to investigate my entire school? No, get out of here.
Yeah. What about so on the notion of the books? What about the sort of again libertarian argument behind this, which is this is a violation of free speech, right? This is literature that's being produced in a place of education for educational purposes. Why shouldn't we allow these books to be present at our public schools?
Schools below the college age have limitations. You can't allow everything. No. That's the bullcrap argument of like free speech. Well, it's limited. Just like when you step on a school campus and you're a student, your free speech is actually limited a little bit because the school has a right to say what they can and can't do. If I have a backpack, the school has the right to say, let me see what's inside that backpack because I've heard some rumors. Whoa. Do you have a warrant? Do you have that doesn't apply here.
Not even for high school. High school is preparing you to go out into the world. Not all high school kids eventually go to college. The purpose of public high school is to prepare kids for the real world.
Say
So would you say maybe not middle school and maybe not middle school and elementary, but we could allow these in high schools?
No, because you have a public library. If the public library wants to have it in there, have it in a restricted area. It's fine. No, the school itself, no, you have to restrict it. You have to keep it. You have to say. Sorry enough, you do have to kind of put them in a bubble. Why? You're still a child.
So
you're so much of a child that at 18 you still can't have a cigarette legally. No.
So what standard does Dictator James place to determine what books are allowed and what books aren't?
Is it pornographic? No, you're out. Is it somehow woke and starting to say crap about white people that's not actually true? Fine. I really don't care. You want to have that in there? Let the dust build up. You're going to have that one student who's super woke, check it out, and then it's never going to be checked out again. I don't care. You cannot teach it in the classroom. You can have it in your library. That's it.
So you would allow Ibram X. Kendi in the public high schools?
In the library.
In the library. All right.
Not as a teaching method for the class. If you want to read that on your own, that's fine.
All right. I might have to stage a coup if you're
you're gonna lose. These pit vipers, no, you have no chance.
Those give him laser vision, apparently. Right? Okay, so moving on. Let's get away from the schools. Let's talk about babies in another way. Let's talk about abortion in Texas, friends. So here's the deal. Now, obviously, there's some things that are outside of Texas's purview at this point, but let me go ahead and finish. Right, I'll go ahead and summarize the situation here, and then I will pose the question to Dictator James. First, in case you didn't know, the Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments on Monday over SB 8, which is Texas' controversial ban on abortions beyond 6 weeks of pregnancy after the High Court expedited a hearing, but declined to block the law's enforcement, right? So they said, we're not going to prohibit the enforcement of the law in the meantime but we will hear the arguments.
Darn tootin'.
All right. So it's also worth noting that since the law has been implemented, abortions in Texas have been cut in half. Right. So
Yes,
we've
they have.
lost about half the amount of abortions that we originally had. The court's primary objective here is not to look at the abortion question, but more to look at the law's unique mechanism for determining the federal government whether or not the federal government is entitled to challenge it. Now, the mechanism here is referring to the fact that basically the people are the ones who enforce it. Right. It's the fact
Snuck
that
around the law.
yeah, it's the fact that we the people, right? We can basically sue for damages if we catch somebody getting an abortion in the state of Texas, but it's not the state that's doing it. That's what allowed us to get around.
Caught
the law.
red-handed?
Get caught red-handed, right? The Texas state officials have repeatedly stressed that the federal government has no authority over this case, but we're going to let the high court decide that on Monday.
Whoa. No, that's false. They're going to hear the argument on Monday. They're not going to decide on Monday.
Okay,
That's not how this works.
They're going to hear the arguments on Monday, right? The High Court chose not to block the law's enforcement. Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissented. I know we find that terribly
I'm
shocking.
so shocked.
Imagine my shock. Justice Sonia Sotomayor dissented, arguing that Texas law is patently unconstitutional.
So is Obamacare. Shut up.
So specifically, and then again, in the lawsuit, when it talks about the Justice Department, so President Thay's Justice Department lays out its argument. It's interesting to note that while it's, again, we talked earlier about how the court's primary purpose here is to debate the mechanism, the argument from the DOJ doesn't really seem to be about the mechanism.
Nope.
Right? It
They're
says
sneaking in another one.
It says a state may not prohibit any woman from making the ultimate decision to terminate a pregnancy before viability. Did you hear anything about a mechanism in there, James?
No. And also, define woman, because I want to see that, because I've actually seen their briefs, and they have little footnotes. It's like, when we say woman, we're not necessarily saying someone who's biologically a woman. It's like, oh my gosh, even your emotions are woke. Get out of here.
Here's the situation, okay? Now, obviously, nothing has happened yet.
Nope.
Right? We haven't seen anything yet.
Except for less abortions.
Except for less abortions and the dissenting of Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Don't care.
James runs Texas, and when the Supreme Court makes the decision, it goes against the state, right? So it goes against
The mechanism?
It goes against the mechanism, and it makes our law not enforceable in the state of Texas. That is the scenario. James runs Texas. Go.
Okay, you didn't put this part on there, so this is a little bit different. So I got to think about this for a second.
I'm trying to mix it up for you.
So they're saying not only the mechanism, but the law itself can't be enforced.
Law
Is that what you're
itself
saying?
cannot be is not enforceable,
Okay.
according to the Supreme Court.
Well, yeah, there's 5 fingers on a hand. I'm going to choose this one. I'm not going to do it at the camera, but you get the gist. That's exactly what I'm doing. That's bullcrap. I don't care, because likely Justice Thomas is going to have a dissent. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go with that. Well, he wasn't the winner. Don't care. You always somehow cite Ruth Bader Ginsburg because she was the best person ever, yet most of the time all she wrote was dissents because she lost. I'm going to go with that loser then. Fine, he lost, but I like that one. We're going to go with that. But you can't. No, I'm going to do it anyways. I don't care. This is bullcrap. This is my state. We're going to protect our citizens. And if you hate it and you don't like it, you don't want to live here because we're so mean to women, because you're forcing them to carry their thing to term. Yeah.
Their baby.
No,
Call it baby.
thing. I'm going to go with their language
Their
here.
bundle of
their
cells.
zygote, whatever
Yeah.
they want to say. If you're forcing women, no, we're not forcing you. We're calling you out for your actions. You did an adult thing, and now you have adult consequences. And if you don't want that consequence, there's plenty of people. There's over 30 families per baby that would love to adopt your baby. Let them have it.
Yeah.
You're not ready for it? Fine. Maybe this can reevaluate yourself and going, hey, maybe you shouldn't just lay down with any guy that says what's up. Oh, you had a nice car? Well, you got a nice baby now too.
So, what do you think about let's shift this around, okay? So the court comes out and basically says that the law, they do kind of an Obamacare thing, although they don't.
They changed the freaking language?
but they don't change the language, right? They say,
gosh.
listen, with this mechanism, specifically this mechanism is not constitutional, and the federal government can challenge this. But they don't say anything in their argument about the abortion matter, about the law itself. Right? They say you just got to change the mechanism.
So it has to be the state that's enforcing it, not the people?
Yeah. What does Dictator James do at that point?
Well, if it actually still allows the state to enforce it, I'm fine with enforcing it. But I highly doubt that's going to be allowed because the DOJ can't get off the Texas teat, and they have to keep. You have to follow us like the rest of us. No, we don't. We can actually say screw you and do our own thing, which we should have been allowed to do. Yet for some reason, you have to distract from Afghanistan. By the way, still have not explained Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk about Texas.
The millions of women in Afghanistan who are
but
currently
they're with
suffering under
women,
the
but
Taliban.
just not those women because who cares?
Yeah.
They're wearing burqas, so I can't see their women anymore.
Who
They're fine.
cares about those women, the brown ones? I don't like
Yeah,
them.
that's basically what it is.
Okay.
So if the Supreme Court said no to the mechanism, I'm giving you the bird. It's the mockingbird, by the way. It's Texas.
Mockingbird.
And if you say the state has to enforce it, I'm probably still going to give you the bird because we all know it just opens up for the state because that's actually not allowed under Roe v. Wade. So like, no, you're literally just giving us a win so it can be turned down because of Roe v. Wade because you have yet to decide anything else until the Mississippi case comes up to fact, which is actually going to be heard later this year as well, which we talked about in previous episodes. That has actually been reissued for us. Like our pure intention is to overturn Roe v. Wade with this case. That is what the person who's the state that's advocating for it, Mississippi's advocate, is saying that's how we want it to be ruled. So if you're going to rule on it, you have to at least address that issue. Are they? Highly doubt it, because Justice Roberts would not allow that to happen because he's not a true conservative justice, and we all know should have been there.
So James, dictator James, you are now dictator of the United States, not Texas. You're not the dictator of the United States.
Oh boy!
What happens to Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor after writing that dissent?
Oh no, she gets to stay there. You just have no power anymore. Here's a little shack. But that's it. But then people aren't going to know our decisions. That's the point. No one cares.
gosh.
Unless it's Justice Thomas, and I make him this high-ranking official. He does whatever he wants.
So the Supreme Court just becomes Clarence
Just
Thomas.
Clarence Thomas. Whatever his opinion is,
whatever
that's the
Clarence
rule.
Thomas thinks.
Yeah.
All right.
You
Well,
want an actual good decision? That's the guy.
let's shift away from abortion. Let's talk about migrants.
Oh,
For those
boy.
of you that don't know, Texas is a real hot spot for immigration, right? And they said, well, yeah, you're a big southern border state.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about, though.
No.
Not talking about Mexicans. We're talking about something far more
Far
nefarious.
worse.
Far
Far
worse.
worse.
We're talking about Californians, right? There is a massive influx of Texas of people from other states coming to Texas. Now, it's not just California, right? There's a big influx from Ohio, big influx from Minnesota, big influx from New York. Actually, quite a few people moving from Florida. Didn't know that, but
That's weird.
at this point, there have been over 80,000 people just last year moved from California to Texas, right? Now, mind you,
Hope
One
they
of the
better
most-
change their license plates.
one of the most conservative people we know is a California transplant.
Yeah.
So
Well, he's also from Columbia.
he's also from Columbia, right?
He's like, I saw the crap. I
Came
ain't
from
going anywhere near
Columbia,
that again.
Went to San Francisco. Now he's here in Texas.
Ugh.
So
he did live in San Fran. I cannot believe he lasted there for so long.
So it's not necessarily true that everybody's coming here is got blue hair and wants to wear a genitalia hat, right? So it's not necessarily the case, but it is important to note that over 80,000 people just last year moved to Texas from California. More
They
than
wanted
10,
to be free, Nick.
more than 10% of them came from LA County. Most of the people from LA County moved. Guess where?
Where? Travis?
Harris County.
Huh. Harris.
What?
That's weird.
Who thought, right?
No.
So they're
a
moving
super
from
blue
LA
area from super blue people. Didn't see that coming.
Moving from LA County to Harris County, less than half, actually less than a third of that number migrated the other way, meaning they lived in Texas and they went to California, right?
Why would you want to go to California?
So we're getting a lot of people in, but we're not sending a lot of people back. This is due to major corporations, such as very famously Tesla, have moved their center of operations here to Texas. Toyota is doing the same thing. So a lot of these corporations are moving here and they're bringing their employees with them.
Because
That's
it's
a big
cheaper
thing.
to live here. Yep.
But that also means so yes, they are bringing a lot of people. They're bringing a lot of Californians over. They're bringing a lot of people with not necessarily our politics, but they are also bringing a lot of business, right? They're bringing a lot of growth. They're bringing they're leading to a higher GDP. So Texas,
You gotta have limits. GDP is not everything.
also worth noting, Texas is a state that has been trending towards what they call political equilibrium in recent national elections, meaning it's been trending purple.
Yes,
We're seeing less red, more purple. And lawmakers in the majority, right, meaning the Republicans, need to assess the political effects of migration and determine if the economic benefits are worthwhile. So, James runs Texas. Go!
All right. First of all, if you're a transplant here from California, I already have my doubts about you from the get-go. I don't care if you're the most conservative. That's why you left the blue state. You wanted to go to a red state. I still don't trust you. So you're welcome in. However, I got some rules. First off, you have to live here in the state for at least a year until you can vote on anything. And yes, some of you out there may actually know the Supreme Court case, if you're a nerd like me. It's called Dunn v. Blumstein from 1972, where Tennessee actually had a year residency in order for them to vote. And the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. That's unconstitutional. 30 days, maybe 3 months, but a year's too long. Justice Thurgood Marshall, he wrote the very lengthy 6,100-word opinion, which could have been said like, yeah, we just disagree. But they had to keep doing it, so whatever. Basically, in sum, this is according to a Politico article that I found about this. Marshall wrote, durational residence laws must be measured by a strict equal protection test. They are unconstitutional from the get-go unless they can the state can demonstrate that such laws are necessary to promote a compelling governmental interest. Thus phrased, the constitutional question may sound like a mathematical formula, but the statutes lack the precision of mathematical formulas. Therefore, a heavy burden of justification is on the state, and it needs to realize the statute will be closely scrutinized in the light of asserted purposes. Basically, what that says in a lot of gobbledygook is if you make a law like this from the get-go, you have the burden to prove your case. You can't just say, well, no, the person who's complaining has to tell me how it's actually justifiable. No. It flips on you because you're involving a political matter. You're involving something that should be allowed. You can move place to place in America, and it shouldn't matter. I'm with you on that. But voting is different. I actually agree with Chief Justice at the time, Warren Burger, because he wrote that it is no more a denial of equal protection for a state to require newcomers to be exposed to the state and local problems for a reasonable period, such as 1 year before voting, than it is to require children to wait 18 years before voting. You have a lot of woke 16-year-olds that say we need to do blankety blank, and some people have even said we should let 16-year-olds vote. No, that's stupid. But you make them wait till 18. How is that not unjustifiable? If I move to a new state, well, you got to figure out how the state works. Like, oh, well, in California we did. Well, you left California, didn't you? This is Texas. I don't care how California operates. We certainly will not operate like that in Texas. Like, for instance, if you get pulled over with a pound of ganja and you say, whoa, in Colorado it's legal. You ain't in Colorado, buddy, so get out. You're getting arrested.
You cross state lines.
Yeah, this is different. This is Texas, so you have no argument either way. And so I agree with the actual dissent here, and I think it should be allowed to allow a person to live there if they want to live there, but they have to go live there for a year in residency, actual residency, not have a house and then count that. No, you got to show you actually lived there, and then you can vote, because you have a lot of people, especially in Georgia, how it kind of a little weird whenever that little re-election thing happened because they had to do a runoff. Yeah. A lot of people all of a sudden moved to Georgia. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go further than that because we'll get kicked off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're not going to let it to happen in Texas. No, you have to live here for a year, and you're welcome in. However, if it goes blue for a governor, we're all out. You're getting out. If you had any Californians like, whoa, last 5 years, California, out. But nope, you're out. We're getting too close. It's now getting like D.C. It's too blue. Get out of here.
Does Dictator James do anything? Dictator James. Right? Does Dictator James do anything to actually stifle the inflow from California?
No, because I think a lot of them are Republicans trying to get the heck out of a blue state that's a lost cause, and they're coming to the beautiful state of Texas, the greatest country in the world.
Worth noting, during the Cruz O'Rourke election, most people, or not most people, but something like most of the people that were California transplants identified themselves as Cruz voters, right? I think it was something like 60%. 60% of people that are California transplants have identified themselves as Cruz voters. Most Beto O'Rourke voters were younger native-born Texans. So
crank the age up back to 21.
Go get the age back up to 21?
No, we're not going to have these 18-year-olds who know nothing about it. It's like, we should vote. All right, you should go in the military because it's fine. I'm a lot of cigarette. No, whoa. You're not smart enough to figure that out yet. You have a drink too? No. But no, yeah, you can make decisions that
What?
definitely affect the entire state. Go
What
for it.
about Nancy Pelosi's argument that we should drop the voting age to 16 because we have a vibrant democracy? that
No,
we need
because
to
they're
include?
purely Democratic because they live with their parents. So you're like, yeah, we want to help people. We want to help. It's like, yeah, you have no idea what they're actually saying. They're saying euphemisms, and they're hiding the ball from you. You don't know that, so of course you're going to go with what feels good. No,
my
it's crap.
gosh.
I don't give a crap if you have a job. Good job. No, you're not going to vote.
Okay, so let's narrow that. Let's narrow that in a little bit. Would you say if you're in Texas, only property owners could vote?
I would totally go back to property owners and 21 years old.
Property owners, 21 years old,
Yeah.
really restrict voting rights. You
Yeah.
have to show 3 forms
You
of
have
ID.
to have skin in the game.
Yep. Oh
Period.
my goodness. Okay. So the California transplants. What about transplants from places like Florida, New York? Do you hold the same rules to those people as well?
No, Florida's fine. New York, we're back to I'm skeptical.
Okay.
No.
So someone comes in from Florida. It's the whole year to vote thing is lifted.
Yeah, they're fine.
You're like, well, that's my Florida. That's
Some may
great."
say that's discriminatory, and it is.
It is
But it's
discriminatory.
because they align with my side. So get over it. I'm
Because
dictator.
you're
I
a
can do what I
dictator.
want.
All right. So that concludes the issues on the state of Texas that are on the outline. But I didn't want James preparing for everything.
Oh no.
So I've accrued an issue or two. Maybe we might need to get to another one depending on how much time we have. That isn't on the outline because I want James to fly off the cuff and see what happens.
Hey,
That's right.
Get the bleep button
I'm
ready.
trying to get kicked off of YouTube
Yeah.
at this point, right?
Seriously, Hayden, get the bleep button ready.
Let's talk about this. So, this is actually something that happened a couple of years ago, right? But the mayor of Livingston, Texas. So, for those of you who don't know, Livingston is a small town down in the Houston area. It's west of College Station, right? Or east of College Station, excuse me. The Mayor Judy B. Cautran, right?
Cool name.
She is under fire from environmental groups in her city.
Okay.
Why? Because she shot and bagged a 580-pound, 12-foot alligator that she believes ate her miniature horse earlier that year. Says, typically gators don't bother us, but I've been looking for this one.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
quote from Contran, right? Into the Houston Chronicle. Recently became a great-grandmother, used a seasoned raccoon in order to attract this large animal to her pond where she shot and bagged it. She says she plans to mount its tail in her office at that city hall. Recently has come under fire with protests at her home. Because she is, quote, violating the biological diversity and environmental fragility of our city and state, according to environmental organizations such as PETA for Texas.
Right. They probably wrote that on their MacBook that was used with oil, but somehow they're also eco-friendly.
All right. So James runs Texas. What happens to Mrs. Judy B. Cautran?
She gets a trophy. That's freaking awesome. The state of Texas itself would actually help pay for that taxidermy, and it would do it. We'll pay for it. Like, yeah, it's worth tax dollars. It's an awesome thing. Put that sucker up, and then make a statue of the actual alligator outside the city hall there, and say, "Yeah, I shot that. That's awesome." No, that's a bad A woman. I like her from the get go. I hope she actually ate the tail. Is what I've heard from Gator, because I've only had Gator sausage. I've never actually had the actual meat, like a steak version. But I've heard the tail is amazing. So hope she ate it. But this woman is awesome. I'm sorry you lost your little miniature horse. Little Sebastian, I guess, is now dead, but you got the person who ate it. So good job. I just think it's awesome that she seasoned a raccoon. So she could probably kill a raccoon and then just put Tony Chachere's all over it and just throw it out there like, all right. And then she's just sitting out there with some binoculars at night going, come on, baby, let's do this. And she has what, like a 30-06 just sitting there waiting. I love it. This woman is amazing. The eco people, they're always full of crap because most of the time they write in their little blogs on the iPhone, which, by the way, was made by children. If you don't know, they are. Child slavery is used to make that. And they're also used oil in order to make it. So how woke are you? How'd you get to place? Are all of you driving electric cars? Oh, where's the electricity come from? Oh, look at that. You're also still fulfilling the exact same thing you're pretending to be against. Okay, what kind of dress are you wearing? Is it completely organic? No. Oh, look at that. You're also not fulfilling that. Are you living in a house? Are you living in an apartment? Well, yeah. Hate to break it to you, that's also not eco-friendly. So you're just a liar from the get-go. I can give a crap what you have to say. You're always finding some new thing to give a crap about. No, screw off. This woman deserves a trophy, and you know what? Make her honorary governor for the day. That's awesome.
Honorary governor for the
just
day.
for doing that. That's awesome.
All right, so here we go. Corpus Christi, Texas. A hit-and-run driver led police on a thrilling low-speed chase in his John Deere tractor.
All right.
All right. Alan Bade is the man's name. Allegedly backed into a van before fleeing on Highway 77 for an hour-long chase that never exceeded 45 miles per hour. It ended when camo-clad Alan Bade drove into a field and was surrounded by police officers. So, James runs Texas. What happens to Mr. Bade?
What do you mean? I was just tilling my field. I don't know how I got here. Come on, police. Just literally get in front of them, slow down, and go, you're not going to. You're not going to run me over. All right, stop. You can't hit and run. That's illegal. To me, person who hits and run, you're basically stealing. And here's why I think that, because if that person has no idea who hit and run them, that likely means they're going to have to fix that part or whatever it may be themselves. Therefore, their own money is putting into it, which should have been your money because you did the act. Just own up to it. Be a real man. But the police letting him go for an hour? Are you kidding me? Like there's so many chases where police is like, get even close, like, all right, I'm knocking that back tire because it's completely illegal because you're a danger to safety. Yes, I get 45 miles an hour. It may not be a danger to safety. You still did a legal act. Just stop. Just stop him. I have no idea why you didn't stop him. This guy, you're going to be arrested. Like, wow, the police, if I was the police, I'd be laughing. It's like, dude, I commend you. It's hilarious. Gosh. But the law is the law. You're going to jail. It's a hit and run. Then you made us chase you. So that's diverting all kinds of resources.
Are we calling this a chase or a follow?
Yeah. I mean, is this a funeral procession? Like, I was like, all right, we're just going to keep maintaining. Like, we're just going to find out where this guy goes. Like, if it's a small town, like Corpus isn't that small.
Oh, my
But there had to be like someone going, yeah, that's Tim.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
Tim, stop.
Hashtag
What?
Corpus man is the new Florida man.
Yeah, no, this guy deserves to be arrested because this is bull crap. You shouldn't hit somebody then run away. Also, was that your primary mode of transportation?
Yep.
What? You can afford a tractor, but you can't afford like a cheapo car. Like, I know plenty of farmers, they have a junker truck for their farm truck. Yeah, it's still junker, but it's a truck. Why? Because I have to go to town every now and then. I can't just ride my tractor to town. Granted, in East Texas, they do that a lot because it's fun, and I don't blame them. But they're also in the backwoods, so no one cares.
Oh, my gosh.
This guy deserves to be arrested. Sorry, buddy. It's a funny story, and I still have no idea why the police didn't actually just surround you because they easily could have.
Yep.
And just say, like, stop. All right, you're done. Stop.
All right. Last story.
Oh,
Last
man, you have more?
This one happened in Austin.
Oh, nope, you're out.
A man posing as a Beto O'Rourke campaign volunteer posed as a Beto O'Rourke campaign volunteer in order to break into a house and steal a popsicle. Right, according to the Austin American Statesman, a neighbor questioned James Bradford Gibbon II, right, who's 28, when she saw the man loitering on a porch. Gibbon, who's wearing a black Beto for Governor shirt, which is also not a campaign that's happening right now. He said he was campaigning for Beto for governor. A few minutes later, another woman arrived at the home to find Gibbon in her kitchen with holding the wrapper of a frozen treat that he just filched from the freezer.
That son of a gun.
He has officially been charged with burglary and also admitted to rifling through another person's wallet and attempting to hack an iPad. So, James runs Texas. What happens to Mr. James Bradford Gibbon II?
I feel like there's some part of the story missing here. Why is he trying to hack into the iPad?
I don't know. He just
it
admitted
seems
to
like
hacking into an iPad.
he chose this house specifically, and then he was like, well, I'm already here, so I might as well see what they have in the freezer. Oh, look at that.
They got popsicles.
They have frozen pops. All
They
right.
got Steel City.
Was it an Otter Pop, or was it an actual popsicle?
It just says it was a
Those
wrapper.
are
He's
facts we need, Nick. Those are
holding the
important.
wrapper for a frozen treat. That's what it says.
Okay.
Maybe it was Steel City. He got it from Steel City Pops.
Maybe.
That's some good. Steel City Pops is good.
Well, okay. Just to explain to you what burglary is. It is burglary, by the way. Burglary is breaking and entering into a dwelling of another with the intent to commit a felony therein. That's the legal term. So
Is it a felony to steal a popsicle, though? I feel like this is
Well,
petty burglary, if anything. If that even exists.
It's are you breaking and entering? Yes, that's what he did. What was your intent when you got in there? Well, I'm going to take this. Obviously, I think the iPad was hit number one, and why you got a little bored because apparently somehow you can attempt to hack it. What, you put the password in too many times, it locked you out? Is that basically what happened?
This guy's the worst
And so he's
hacker.
like, well, I'm already here, so I might as well get something to snack on. Look at that, they got popsicles. All right. Like, so you already, that's a felony. So no, when you do that, here's the weird thing. If you break and enter, this is all like kind of like hypos that I had to go through. The person thought that they had their things, and so they broke into that house to grab their things. Like, is that burglary? No, they broke and entered to someone else's dwelling at night. I'm sorry, that's that last one. At night is the usual. However, they were trying to get their material, not the other person, not steal someone else's stuff. So there's no felony therein. So you have no burglary. Maybe theft. That's a little side note. Sorry, I like to do that. It's fun. Anyways, what happens to this guy?
What happens to James Bradford Given? Yeah.
First of all, dude's likely Republican. You're wearing a Beto shirt, so you can show for Beto. There's probably no chance he actually even thinks about Beto. He's just doing that to have some cover.
Yeah.
2, you broke into someone's house. I'm surprised you weren't shot. You should have been shot.
You want to know why?
You're not supposed to be here.
You want to know why he wasn't shot?
Because it's in Austin.
Because it's in Harris County. Yeah.
I mean Travis County.
Oh, Travis County. Yeah, it's in Travis
Austin.
County.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
It's California. That's why you don't go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he should be arrested because you shouldn't be doing that at someone else's house. And again, if you did that in my house and I saw you, there's a good chance you're leaving with some lead.
Give me my popsicle.
Yeah. First off, that's my popsicle. It's my last one. I've been thinking about that all day, and you son of a gun are eating it. No, I'm gonna kick your tail just for that. And then 2, you get a 3-second head start. What do you mean?
2, 1.
2.
Yeah.
Like, should have taken the head start.
All right. Oh.
So yeah, he deserves to be arrested. That's my final decision, and it is decided.
Well, thank God that James is not actually the dictator of Texas, because what a chaotic place it would be if
awesome.
it were. That being said, given the current situations that we have in Texas, we are making moves towards some really great things. Because, like I said, man, we are in the light. We are the light in the darkness here in Texas. We are the stars at night, and we are big and bright. We'll see you next week, everybody.